let's move to that in Kamiena in Gauteng, where EFF and ANC in Gauteng have agreed to appoint minority parties to mayoral positions. ANC Gauteng Secretary Thembinkosi Nciza says they recognize that there are smaller political parties that must be taken into account. They've agreed the mayoral position in Ekurhuleni should be given to a minority party. ANC Gauteng spokesperson Lesego Makhubela joins us now for more. Good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. So are you saying to us that within the ANC, Dada Morero is now okay being MMC of Finance? He's not going to tomorrow change his mind and say, no, I want to be mayor. ANC is okay with not being mayor.
The fate of the African National Congress in all these major cities was decided in 2021 during the elections. And we went out, released a statement and said we accept the outcomes. Of course, the outcomes of those elections were this chakalaka fruit salad that came out, and we had to accept it. And the coalition governments were led in the main in Tshwane, in Ekurhuleni, and in Johannesburg. They were led by the Democratic Alliance. We accepted it. So we stand by that. We accept the will of the people. The people said to us, let's try an experiment of having coalition governments across these cities in Gauteng. As to whether those coalition governments, chakalaga, in my language, the Tsonga people, they call it mahinya. Whether it works, it's one thing or another, but you can see that these coalition governments are not working. So Comrade Dada Morero in Johannesburg, then Zwandile Masina was our mayoral candidate in Ekurhuleni. They've long accepted their fate. They understand where we find ourselves in, and they are willing to work for the people. And that's why it matters not whether Comrade Dada Morero, the regional chairperson of the ANC in Johannesburg, whether he's the mayor of Johannesburg or he's not, because we've long accepted our fate, what the people said to us.
Yeah, but how do you rationalize that as the ANC, to say a party that, fine, you didn't get an overwhelming majority, but you did get the majority of the votes, ends up being the mayor with just 2 seats? Or 3 seats?
We don't have enough. We don't have enough numbers to form what we term a minority government or a government in any of those cities. And therefore, for us or any other party to be able to form a government, you need to enter into some sort of an arrangement with other parties. And so far, that has not really worked. And therefore, the ANC took a decision that in order for us not to be seen as ambitious potholes, or wanting to hold on to power at all costs, or trying to actually play a big brother role in all these councils. We are going to actually go and say to all the parties that believe that the DA has caused irreparable damage to all these cities, let's come up with a deal that is able to then fast-track service delivery, that is able to address the challenges that face residents in all these particular cities. And those discussions are not about the ANC being the leader of that coalition arrangement, but they are about ensuring that in the city of Tshwane we are able to stabilize finances there. You saw the Auditor General report, which is the first kind of report in democratic South Africa. You see what is happening in Ekurhuleni. It goes without fact that even when you drive out of your studio here, you just hit a pothole here in Johannesburg. It's a normal thing, potholes. We are coexisting with them in Johannesburg, and wherever the DA was leading. So we took a decision that let's put the people at the center of the discussions in all these particular cities and park our petty political bickering and come together and say, let's come up to an arrangement that can be able to help and salvage these cities from the total collapse by the DA and action as a arrangement.
So what's the caveat there? I mean, very, very smartly, TK says, well, I mean, the agreements must not put any party at a disadvantage. So obviously the ANC is not going blindly in this out of your goodwill. I mean, you're also getting something out of this deal. So far, what we do know is the EFF saying they've got 2 MMC positions in the city of Johannesburg, and they are calling for 5 in the city of Ekurhuleni. Is the ANC agreeable to that?
For us, it's not Kamena Gawena. It's not tit for tat. It doesn't work like that. we've entered into this. That first, what we put on the table is that, guys, you can see there's 30 billion in Tshwane that we cannot account for. All right, 30 billion from the Auditor General statement. We were literally holding our hands as to the city of Johannesburg. Will it be able to pay salaries after many of its service providers are left unpaid? The city of Ekurhuleni is becoming a dump site. It's dirty all over. Everything is collapsing. So if you are going to enter into this discussion with the Kamina Kawena type of mentality, it's not going to help, because you are going to even have a party that has one seat tell you that, no, we want this, we want that, we want this particular person appointed, and that's why it doesn't work. And that's why it has not even worked even for the DA. So for us, we said we want to talk to anyone that says that these cities are collapsing, and we can't allow them to collapse even further than they have. And that's the baseline for the ANC. And that's what the ANC says. We gave the negotiators of the ANC, which are the officials of the ANC, the mandate to say that the baseline, that when you come back and report to the Provincial Executive Committee, is that you must tell us that the people that you are talking to are agreeable and amenable to the fact that we are interested in stabilizing the cities. We are not interested on who becomes what, because that is horse trading, and that is power mongering, and that has its own complications. It means that you are going to have the chaos that ensued when the DA was at the helm of these cities, where you even had Mpopalati undergoing some serious 5 stages of grief, not even accepting when she was taken out, being delusional and so forth, because she was married to the position and the understanding that she's a mayor, and it has never been about the people of Johannesburg, and that's why she spent whatever years she was there. She has never visited the historically black communities, the same as Randall, who was taken from Cape Town to be made the mayor of Tshwane, who doesn't even know where Amaskral is, who has never been to Attridgeville or even interacted with those communities. So for us, the baseline is not Kamina Kawena. The baseline is the discussion that begins to say, let's put the people first, let's address and reactivate service delivery.
But, I mean, for example, you'd have a situation like the city of Johannesburg, where we know now that there was a whole lot of argument around whether or not Patriotic Alliance should be given the transport portfolio and so on and so forth in terms of the size of the budget and back and forth. Are you saying this has not formed part of these negotiations, mainly between yourself and the EFF and, of course, the other minority parties?
There are no separate talks between the ANC and the EFF. We don't speak separately and take our proposals to other parties that agree in restarting service delivery in all these cities. We said to all the parties, if you believe that you've got the best among yourself, who will be able to carry these portfolios, who will be able to actually present to us what they can be able to turn around these portfolios, we don't have a problem. And that's how these discussions have been flowing, and that's why it has not been was so difficult for us to find each other. We have not signed anything, you know that. We have not signed anything. There are no court papers. We have not appended our signatures to anything, because the understanding and agreement that we have with all these parties is that let's reactivate service delivery. Let's patch the potholes in Johannesburg. Let's make sure, like now, for instance, Mdluli, you will know that when the ANC was in charge of all these municipalities, we received an international award, including in Tshwane. We received the Blue Dot award, which is the quality of water was drinkable. We have an outbreak of cholera. You guys are quiet. If the ANC was in charge of these municipalities, if the ANC was in charge, we have cholera in Gauteng.
MEC for Health that says don't panic. It's not us who are saying don't panic.
But there's an outbreak.
It is the ANC. It says it's not an outbreak. It says there's 2 people that traveled to Malawi and came back.
But there is cholera. there's an outbreak of cholera.
There's no outbreak according to the ANC.
Yeah,
now you are telling us there's an outbreak. That is new. The MEC needs to come and then tell us that there's an outbreak.
If you go and you read the statement issued by the Department of Health and the MEC, they would not have issued a statement if they have not studied these two people, their movements and everything like that. And these are not the first two, by the way. We had the similar issue where people were having difficulties in Mamelodi. You know very well that we have a serious issue in Hammanskraal. We have a serious issue in Hammanskraal where people, when they open their taps, there's brown water that comes out, heavily contaminated, which we actually made noise about. The Human Rights Commission came and said this water is not drinkable, it's not suitable for human consumption. And to this day, the DA changed 4 mayors, and to this day, the people of Hammanskraal are still subjected to that filth that the DA calls water. And that's what we are dealing with. So we moved from cities that used to get the blue dot status and said this is the best water in the world that can be drinkable, to people drinking filthy water that can be consumed by anyone, by the way. And that's where we are. We moved from cities where, for instance, in Tswana we're offering free Wi-Fi. It is no longer there. Nobody speaks about it. The issue of the Auditor General report, which is a very scary report. No one has ever received that kind of a report. Even some of the degenerate municipalities, they've never received a report by the Auditor General that says you have actually falsified your financial statements. That's what that report says. You are not making any noise about it. No, it's big, billions of rents.
We've interviewed all of the people.
Yeah, maybe at 12 o'clock at night.
Those who've been suspended. No, in broad daylight.
Yeah.
But Lesego, let's talk about, once again, the position of MMC for Finance that has now been taken by the ANC in the city of Johannesburg. Now, all of a sudden, a 2 billion rands loan is something that will be supported, but it wasn't supported when the DA was in power. These are the tit-for-tat games that these coalition politics are bringing.
How do you entrust people who actually squandered and mismanaged the funds of that city with a loan like that? Because loans come with conditions. So people inherited a well-running municipality. They found a budget surplus. And I said it to you. I said to go to the Auditor General statement when the ANC was removed in 2016. The 2015-2016 financial statement says Mayor Parkstyle left a budget surplus. Then that money was mismanaged. Then these people keep on coming to council. That was not the first loan that council approved. This one was rejected because they keep on coming for more loans, and the more actually the city was actually dug into a serious financial crisis. So we could not have allowed any of our councillors to rubber stamp the collapse of the city finances fairer than the DA has collapsed that city. We could not have allowed it. We wanted to have a responsible government. We are not passing the budget because suddenly the ANC occupies the MMC of finance position. Even if Comrade Dada Mrero was the MMC of sports or was not even in government, as long as we have a responsible government that can be able to actually ensure that there's financial prudence, we're going to pass it. In Tswana, it was the ANC in some cases that actually were passing the budgets of the DA because they were presented as though they were pro-poor budgets that were aimed to develop townships. We later realized that no, these budgets were just put there on paper, and as the Auditor General has said to us that even the budget that was actually presented to council for voting was even misrepresented. So we can't trust. We will not allow, as the ANC, that we allow the ANC to rubber stamp wrong things. No, never.
Are you okay as the ANC for the EFF to take the position of Speaker in Ekurhuleni, or again, it's irrelevant to you who takes that position?
It's not Gamina Gawel. The media makes it tit for tat. It's not Kamena Gawena, because once it becomes Kamena Gawena, we undermine the people who actually braved the long queues, woke up in the morning and went to vote for whatever party that they voted for, and we are now degenerating how our democracy should function. It's not Kamena Gawena. We are discussing whether it's the EFF speaker will not have a problem, whether it's any other party speaker won't have a problem. There's a speaker in Ekurhuleni, by the way, which has been elected. Is an EFF speaker. The DA doesn't want to accept it. And what do? Because they do not care about these cities. And they are pushing an agenda to collapse these cities so that these cities collapse. And Popalazi knew that even when the motion was brought again, she's not going to come back. But she was playing lawfare, the use of our courts to subvert democracy and undermine the people. Because when there's these changes and now and again, there's no stability in the cities. Nothing happens in this particular city. So even in Ekurhuleni, we're expecting them to run to the courts to use lawfare. But they know they don't have the numbers. Because at the end of the day, people who are there, even those councillors who are sitting and occupying seats, are there because of the numbers. People voted for them to have those particular seats. So there's a speaker in Ekurhuleni. Let's not address it as if there's no speaker elected. No. There was a motion on the
speaker at this particular point because of that collapsed meeting.
Yeah. No. What you call collapse is when the DA walks away. And that's another problem. In Tshwane, we have a case that went all the way to the Constitutional Court, where the DA went to the Constitutional Court and said that we have a problem. The ANC can't dissolve this municipality because it walked out of court. The ANC in Tshwane, in its court paper, said that walking away or walking out of council is a form of protest. It was rejected. The DA walks out of the council everywhere in Johannesburg, in Ekurhuleni, and everywhere else. They walk out of council. It's not a form of protest. It is called the meeting has collapsed. No, when they leave, there are still other councillors who are seated there, and the meeting is still constituted in terms of Structures Act. And the meeting there's no meeting that did not continue. There was no
chaos. Let's leave it there because of time. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Spokesperson for the ANC in Gauteng, Lesego Makhubela. Stay with us. In Focus continues shortly.